It started with a trash bag. Not even kidding. Just me. A plain OL Saturday morning, stepping out in my flip-flops, coffee still warm in the other hand, about to take out the garbage like every other neighbor on Westover Lane. And by all logic, that should have been the whole story. A man, his driveway, one slightly overstuffed bag of coffee grounds and casserole remains. But life, especially mine, wasn't in the mood for logic that morning. See, I'd just moved to Alderwood, this little manicured pocket of suburbia that practically advertised itself with words like charming, peaceful, and family-friendly. The kind of place where wind chimes outnumber actual birds and folks spend more time trimming hedges than talking to each other. After 20 years as a cop, most of them in the concrete war zone we called East Lark, I figured I'd earn some peace. So when I got offered the job of police chief here, I said yes, expecting calm mornings, the occasional lost cat, and maybe a suspicious barbecue. Nothing more. But peace, as it turns out, had terms and conditions. And her name was Doris Kensington. Doris lived next door. And she didn't just live, she reigned. President of the Maple Court HOA for going on 15 years, proud wearer of pastel twin sets, and an absolute tyrant when it came to neighborhood standards. The kind of woman who could spot an unauthorized lawn ornament from 3 cul-de-sacs away and would leave a laminated citation in your mailbox before you even knew the gnome was there. And on this particular morning, as I placed my trash bag beside the city bin, I heard an unmistakable screech of entitlement. "You there? Stop right this instant." Now, I'm not a jumpy man, but the way her voice sliced through the air, it had that rare combination of rage and self-righteousness that could stop traffic. I turned and saw her helmet hair, power-walking sneakers, and a pink tracksuit that could blind an astronaut. And she was pointing right at me like I'd just stolen her prized begonias. I offered a polite smile, gave the trash bag a little pat. "Just putting this where it belongs. Morning to you too." But Doris didn't budge. "I don't know who you think you are, but this is a respectable neighborhood. We don't allow strangers to loiter." Stranger? I'd been living at number 18 for 2 weeks. Unpacking boxes, fixing a crooked mailbox, meeting neighbors who mostly waved and said, "Nice to have you." But Doris? This was our first proper chat, and she'd apparently decided I was public enemy number 1. I introduced myself, calm as ever. "Jeff Carter. New neighbor. Police chief, actually." Her lips curled. "Don't get smart with me. You don't look like a police chief." Ah, there it was. The part that wasn't said, but was loud as hell. My skin, my face, my existence sight didn't match her mental image of authority. And suddenly, I wasn't just some guy holding trash. I was a threat. She called the cops on me. Imagine that. Standing in your own driveway, on your day off, being accused of loitering, and having your own officers dispatched to check you out. When Officers Riley and McDougal rolled up, I could see the confusion on their faces the second they recognized me. Riley stuttered through a greeting. McDougal looked like he wanted to dig a hole and disappear in it. And Doris? She went pale. That sour kind of pale you only get when the story you're writing in your head suddenly turns into a headline about your own stupidity. Now, I could have ended it there. Could have laughed it off, chalked it up to a bad introduction, and moved on. But something about the way she looked at me had cold, assessing stare like I was a dog who'd wandered too far from its yard. It got under my skin. Not just because it was personal, but because I had a feeling it wasn't the first time she'd done something like this. And I was right. Turns out Doris had a long history of, let's call it selective civility. I started hearing stories from folks like Mr. Hall, a retired teacher down the road, who got fined $50 because his recycling bin was out of alignment. From the Tran family, who got 3 citations in a month for their unauthorized flower bed that dared to contain marigolds. Even from a woman named Estelle, who'd quietly moved out last year after Doris started spreading rumors about her teenage son being a bad influence. The kid was a chess club captain. But the worst came from a couple named Marcus and Talia James. Mixed race, like me. They'd only lasted a year on Maple Court before giving up entirely. Constant violations. Letters. Anonymous notes. One night, they came home to find "Keep Our Neighborhood Clean" spray-painted on their fence. No one ever proved it was Doris, but the camera they installed afterward caught her walking by their house nearly every night with a flashlight and a notebook. And suddenly, this wasn't just about me. It was a pattern. A sickness dressed up in pink pastels and HOA bylaws. So I dug deeper. With the help of my detective, Elena Vasqueza, sharp as nails investigator from my old precinct, to pulled Doris's records. Public stuff, nothing illegal. Just enough to see how long she'd been running this show, and how she'd used her little HOA kingdom to isolate, bully, and push out anyone who didn't fit her version of respectable. The kicker? Her HOA's financial records were a mess. We're talking unaccounted dues, shady vendor contracts, and a $12,000 landscaping initiative that somehow turned into a brand new stone patio for her backyard. Elena even found an old civil case sealed, of course from her previous neighborhood. Similar complaints. Abuse of position. Settled quietly. Now, I'm not into personal vendettas. But this wasn't personal anymore. This was structural. And as police chief, I had a responsibility. Not just to protect and serve, but to expose. I didn't want to bring her down with sirens and handcuffs. That would have made her a martyr. No, I wanted her undone by the very system she thought she controlled. So we waited. And we planned. And we let her hang herself bit by arrogant bit. The final blow came at the Maple Court Summer Jubilee. Her pride and joy. She'd organized it for years, always with a strict invitation list and a dress code that felt more like a country club gala than a block party. This year, I encouraged the a young couple new to the neighborhood, kind-hearted, interracial, and unknowingly next on Doris's hit list to go. Doris cornered them at the lemonade stand. She told them, in that syrupy voice of hers, that some people might not feel comfortable with them there. That traditions mattered. That their presence might stir tensions. Unfortunately for her, I'd given Detective Vasquez a small mic and a front-row seat disguised as a picnic guest. And when Doris exploded later in the evening after a little girl bumped into a table and Doris accused her of running wild, we had it all. The language, the tone, the context, the pattern. I stepped forward, quiet but clear. "Ms. Kensington," I said, "your behavior tonight and throughout your time as HOA president has been discriminatory, unethical, and deeply harmful to this community. You've abused your power. You've harassed your neighbors. And you've now been recorded doing both." She sputtered. She denied. She claimed it was all a misunderstanding. But it was too late. The crowd had seen it, heard it, felt it. And the look on her face when I told her we'd reopen the HOA's financials for audit, when I mentioned her old lawsuit, when I dropped the name of the civil rights group now reviewing the recordings, that was the look of a queen watching her castle burn. Within a week, she'd resigned. 2 weeks later, a for sale sign showed up on her lawn. And the following month, at the emergency HOA election, Mr. Halya, the guy with the misaligned bin, was voted in as president with 92% of the vote. People started putting wind chimes back up. Mr. Tran's marigolds doubled in size. The Assangs hosted a neighborhood barbecue. And me? I finally got to read that Civil War history book on my porch without feeling watched. I still take out the trash every Saturday. Only now, sometimes, my neighbors wave. One even brings donuts. Funny, right? That a trash bag started it all. But maybe that's how big things begin, in small, stupid moments that expose something ugly underneath. And maybe, just maybe, the best kind of justice isn't loud or fast or violent. Maybe it's quiet. Maybe it's clean. Maybe it's watching someone who's hurt others slowly realize their power's gone. If you've ever dealt with an HOA bully, a neighbor like Doris, or someone who hides cruelty behind community rules, I want to hear your story. Drop a comment below, let's talk about it. Is there such a thing as too much neighborhood control? Should HOA leaders be vetted more seriously? Or are folks like Doris just the price of order? And hey, if you like this story, share it. Someone else might need to hear that they're not crazy. They're just one trash bag away from turning things around.